Hello, this is Chris Heasley with the Chris Heasley Radio Show. The career of a police officer comes with it many jagged edge risks. It's hazardous, it's dangerous, it's taxing on the body. We don't always appreciate our officers, and we send them into the most dangerous locations that we don't want to go ourselves. And with all that being said, it is also low pay. It is a very challenging career. But there's one thing that we as a society make as an offering to make this one-sided situation right. And that is a guaranteed 30-year retirement. And this offering that we as a community, we come together to make, pooling our precious resources as an offering to our officers, allows us to attract the best and the brightest to this dangerous profession. And I want to make this clear. This relationship, this offering is only good, pure, and of the best intentions. And it's a very beautiful thing because it allows our society to stay intact. It keeps our officers on the force. And with that assumption in mind, the question is, did the left, the opportunists that they are, attempt to spoil this relationship? Did they see political opportunity taking advantage of our good-natured interests and profit at the expense of the officer, the citizen, and society as a whole? This is the question. Did the left attempt to sabotage the relationship between community resident and police officer for their own political gains? The defund the police movement was nonsense at its heart. There is not an ounce of logic in the idea of removing our police forces, our police units from the streets. It makes no sense at all. And anyone with a reasonable amount of common sense understands that such an idea would be complete havoc. It would be a complete upheaval of society. It would be a danger to everyone. Crime would be rampant. But the left, with their highly effective corporate media, with the propaganda machine that they have in place, they went for it. They attempted to interfere with and ruin what is a wholesome and good-natured agreement between citizen and police officer. And they inserted the absurd notion of defunding police units across the nation. And through their propaganda effort, they attempted to rationalize something that is completely irrational. And this act certainly took root here in Texas, where in Austin, the defund the police movement had a great effect on Austin. They've defunded the Austin police forces by as much as 1/3. And we can see that Austin is a complete cesspool. It's melting down. It's being ruined. It's crime-ridden. And we are here in Houston. And we cannot detach ourselves from what is happening in Austin. That is our state capital. And what happens there eventually comes here. So we have to take ownership of what's happening in Austin. But here in Harris County, it's also beginning, the defund the police movement. Officers began to speak up just over a year ago at what appeared to be the beginnings of the defund the police movement. Harris County Constable Mark Herman, for his precinct alone, he had reported that his precinct, the budget for his precinct had been reduced by $2 million just for his precinct. And the Texas State Comptroller called out Harris County for its defund the police movements and the illegal nature that it has. And so the question is, what is the intent of the left? Why are they doing? What are their political goals? What are their aims? And it is very simple to understand. It is power and control. Because in a large metropolitan area, a metropolitan area like Harris County, like Houston, the operating budget can be as much as $3 billion. And you see, what American Democrats do is when they see money like that, they cannot help themselves. They have to have the money. When they get near money of that type, they start to get nervous. It's almost like a drug addict near drugs. They cannot help themselves. They have to have it. And so what they do is they begin this absurd propaganda effort to defund the police unit, and they siphon that portion of the budget off to NGOs and contractors that are connected, that are politically connected to the local officials. And once that money's siphoned off, it gets spent, you never see it again. And what they do then is they put a propaganda arm in front of it, and they put a lobbyist arm in front of it to ensure you can never get those funds back and you can never get your police officers back on the streets. So that's prize number one, the $3 billion operating budget. But you see, there's prize number two. And again, it is what I mentioned earlier, that relationship between citizen and police officer, that agreement that we offer them a 30-year guaranteed retirement. You see, that pool of funds is completely off limits. And nobody even suggests that that pool of funds is attainable because it's inconceivable, because we all understand that the officers earned that money. But the brilliance, the evil brilliance of the political left is unmatched. And they've thought this through. You see, that pool of funds is protected by a Praetorian Guard. And that Praetorian Guard is the officers' union. And that union stands in front of the money. And so that's why nobody even considers attaining those funds. But see, what the left has figured out is that if they defund the police movement, there are less officers that can contribute to the officers' union. And when that officers' union budget just begins to get hit and they have to start making layoffs, it gets battered and beaten and it becomes vulnerable and it can no longer stand up to the political left. And then prize number two, the left can sink their teeth into prize number two. These are the goals. These are the goals of the defund the police movement. But these cash prizes are only the goals at the local level. There is a much larger goal here, a goal at a global level. And this is outside of anything local. This is a goal that is put in place by the European billionaire class. And the goal is the centralization of power, the concentration of power. It is the goals of the globalist agenda. And what the globalists are, they are a set of European billionaires that have created the globalist agenda, and the entire purpose of it is to erode your rights and return you to a state of peasantry. That's the goals of the globalists. And what the globalists do is they sit down in their secret meetings in Davos, Switzerland, and they map out their plans on whiteboards, and then they distribute it to their agents across the world to implement these plans. And this is the globalist agenda. And the globalists, they never like diversification. They don't like it. And see, the way our police forces are today is they are completely diversified. There's a diverse set of police forces. And what I mean by that is that they are not connected in any way, shape, or form. They are independent. And what I mean is that you have police departments at the city level, at the township level, at the bureau, at the village, at the county level, at the state level. You have specialized police forces. And then at the federal level, it is a multifaceted, large, diverse group of police forces. And that doesn't work for the globalists. And so what the globalists do is they implement the defund the police movement to ruin our police forces. And then they can begin making the argument that once the police forces are ruined, that they can create one police force that ultimately reports to Davos, Switzerland. That is the goal of the globalist agenda. And so the question becomes for our local officials. You see, our local officials, by law, can only be representing our interests. They cannot be representing any interests of any foreign entity. They cannot be agents of foreign adversaries. They cannot be operatives. They cannot be representing interests that are alien to our own. They are not allowed to be implementing the globalist agenda, but are they? That is the question. And if they are implementing an agenda that is foreign to our own, there are very steep legal consequences that come with that. So the question becomes, are they doing? Well, when they promote the idea, the absurd idea that there is sense in defunding our police units, an idea that has no sense in it, you have to question their motives. That's the question. And I think the other point that we have to consider is how our police forces get trodden out in this process. They get leveraged. They get used like political pawns or political tools, where the left will put them in this position to actually defund their units, put them in harm's way so that they can attain their political goals. But you see, today in America, we are in a new phase. We are in what is called the Great Awakening, where we are awakening to these ideas. We are awakening to this nefarious agenda being put on us. And as a result of that, we have a new set of people that are attempting to take our political offices over and return our country back to sanity, back to decency, back to what America was intended for. And today, on our show, on the Chris Heasley Show, we have two guests today. We have G2 and we have Ali Sheikhani, and I will introduce Ali in just a second. But I'd just like to say that the whole purpose of this show is to give you the ideas, the content, the information that you need to return your community back to the residents themselves. That is what the purpose of the Chris Heasley Show is. We will give you those ideas, and then the ball is in your court. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce Ali Sheikhani. Ali, how are you doing today?
I'm really good, sir. How are you?
Good. It's very good to have you here. So, first, please tell us exactly what office you're running for.
I'm running for Fort Bend County Constable, Prison 3 office as a Republican candidate.
Very good. And I know you have a very interesting background. So let's just hear it from the beginning. Tell us about where you're from, how you got your start, your career, everything of that sort.
That's good. Sorry. The weather is getting me. So I was born in Pakistan and came here when I was young. Started my career as a gas station employee. Went to school here, finished my college degrees here. Open a business, one business, and second and third and fourth, different businesses. And I went to police academy a couple of years back. After I got all my degrees, and then I became a police officer. And went to Harris County Constable Prison 2 office as a deputy. Finished my FTO training there. And then now I'm in Galveston County, Hitchcock PD. So after I settled my business really good, I own good businesses in the state of Texas, a very well-settled company. After that, I decided, I'm a police officer and already successful in business, so I want to do something for my community. Then I decided to run for the Fort Bend County Constable office as a Republican candidate. So from the first day till now, it's a long journey, 14th-month journey, and I'm sitting here, and tomorrow is the election day.
Very good. As I understand it, your business career is quite exceptional. You have an incredible resume of businesses under your belt. Why do you want to go for county constable with that career, that you have in the business field? Okay,
business. I own, just an example, gas stations, vape shops, Church's Chicken, and different types of business. I have 2,000 plus employees in America. But in the same time, I was like, what I did for the community. So that's why I decided to run for this office. And I know why I'm running for this office, because of the crime. And there's so many things. What you just said, I was just listening about defunding department and everything. But in this Fort Bend County right now is a different case. It's not defunding the department, it's a management issue right now. So that's why I was like, I'm a successful businessman. I do whatever I can do. I'm a good police officer. So I was like, if I will do something like that, run for the office and try to do something for the community, because I'm sure you have an idea what's going on in Fort Bend County right now. Since 2021 and 22, and most likely 22 was the worst year, and 23, I haven't checked the report yet, but in 2021 and 22, the crime rate went up more than 22.3% right now. And someone got to take a step and control the crime, or it's going to be very, very bad in future.
Okay, I want to talk about that, but before we get into that, What is a constable?
Okay, constable is an elected official. Under constable is a civil duty. Like civil duty is like all the civil papers, you get service. That's a constable thing. And different constable department, like Harris County is a different ways, Fort Bend County is a different way. So you have JP courts comes under you for the all the warrants and everything. You have civil duties, and then you have some criminal division as well, patrol department. So the constable does everything together, like what police does, what sheriff does. There's a big thing, people think constable is just for the civil. No, it's not for the civil. Constable, sheriff, city police, state trooper, they all have the same license but different departments, right? So constable is a police officer, do everything what a sheriff deputy does or a sheriff department does, but in a small level.
Do they who do constables report to? Are they under the sheriff's umbrella, or
No,
where are they at?
They don't report to sheriff. They have their department, and the constable doesn't report to sheriff or mayor or anybody else.
So they do primarily, as you said, that's what I thought too, that they do the servicing for the JP courts, the small claims courts, right? But you're saying that that's not their only function, that they go well beyond that. They are a full
They have
policing...
like a contract, like just an example, they started a couple of years back. Like just an example, there's one area, like just an example, Aliana or anywhere in Sugarland, whatever the constable office is. So there's a neighborhood, right? So Mud District hired constable and give them a contract. Yeah, I'm gonna need 2-3 officers here for like day and night. So they pay too as well. So constable office get paid by the county and from the contract too, and from the Mud District as well.
And okay, and so but as far as the where they're getting paid, and as far as the duties that they do outside of the JP court, could you just repeat that one more time, please? What is the duties that they do outside of serving JP court documents?
Okay, so they do patrolling as well. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna go detail on constable what Prison 3 does, but I can tell you like the broad what other constable office does. Just an example, they have a criminal unit. I mean, in Harris County, a lot of constable office has DWI unit. Some has gang intelligence. Some has CID. So Prison 3 is not doing everything right now, but in future might they will.
And did you initially intend, like, how did you initially intended to go into law enforcement, but then you stumbled into business? Or, I mean, how did that happen that you're crossing in these two paths?
Okay. So I went to police academy when I believe it's like 2018-17. And that time I was a very successful businessman as well. So I always wanted to be a cop I want to do something good. I mean, it always from inside, I want to do something good, So, I mean, I work as a police officer. I go once in a week, do my patrolling. It's just free of cost for the community. So I was doing my business, and in the meantime, I applied and got selected in the police academy. So I went and finished my police academy because I just always want to be a cop. There's a saying, anybody can be a businessman or rich, whatever, but everybody cannot be a police officer. So that's why, I mean, that's two different paths. One is businessman, one is police.
It sounds like, I'm sorry, please. Mm-hmm.
So I decided, I'm going to go as a police officer as well and a businessman as well.
So it sounds like business is your career and policing is your passion. And you're attempting to, you have your career sort of already made, you're set, and now you're attempting to give back, to serve the community through this function as a constable.
That's correct.
That is very interesting. Okay, so let's talk about Harris or Fort Bend County. Tell me about crime. Give me the stats. What's going on there?
So Fort Bend County right now. I'm not gonna talk about just sheriff office or constable office or Sugarland PD or any type of police station right now. I'm gonna talk about the stats for Fort Bend County right now. 2018, the crime went down. Matter of fact, like 12%. And 19 was okay, and 20 was just worse. And 21 and 22, right now, the crime went up for 22.3%, which is robberies, breaking, car theft, like all over. And I haven't checked the 2023 one yet, but I can guarantee you it's going to be worse than 2022. So it's just crazy. Like Fort Bend County is turning to next Harris County. That's sad.
What do you attribute it to?
Crime-wise. Like just an example, where are this all the criminals coming from, right? Whenever they go to Fort Bend County, like you can say Sugar Land, you can say Richmond, you can say all the different Stafford, right? When you drive there, back in the days, you will see some police presence. Right now, I mean, you can drive all day long. You're not even gonna find one police officer. When criminal comes and with a criminal mind, you know what? I'm gonna do something with this community, or I'm gonna do something in this area or this street. They always come first and check it out. You know, as a police officer, I can tell you with my expertise. They come and check, you know, who's there nighttime, who's in the daytime. Or can I rob this shop? Or can I do that thing? You know, when they come, they don't see any police presence. So for them, it's really easy, the good target, because there's no police available. So the first thing, the biggest thing we are lacking in Fort Bend County, there's no police presence.
So if you're elected, what will you bring that's going to rectify this situation?
In one word, you have to have a better management. When management is there good, trust me, you can do a lot of things. There's no management. I mean, just an example, you and me are here. If there's not a good management, the radio dabang cannot be managed properly. Anything, any department, you know, you have to have a good management. Once the management is good, you can do a lot of things.
Who is the current constable that you potentially will be running against?
Current constable from Democrat side is Constable Ali Sheikhani.
And so you're asserting that he is not managing things properly, or tell me what your opinion is of him.
I would not put anything on him. Trust me. I would not say anything about him, bad or good, doesn't matter. But I would just say it's not managing properly. That's what I would say. That's it.
So should you go up against him in the general, what are your general talking points when you will be debating with him, verbally sparring with him out in the political sphere?
We're going to talk about the facts. The facts are why, when I'm not going to say Constable Sheikhani, I'm just going to say any individual whoever's going to come on general. Maybe if I'm going to come tomorrow's election day, I don't know what's going to happen. So if I go in general, or maybe I see Constable Sheikhani or somebody else, or maybe Constable Sheikhani go up and maybe he sees somebody else on general, I don't know, tomorrow's election day, I will talk about the facts. The facts are, this is the budget, whatever the budget we have in Constable Prison 3 office, right? When he started the office, that time we had like 50 plus deputies. Why we have 23, 24 left? Why we lost contracts? Or why we don't have police presence? Who's managing it properly? Was the infrastructure, you know, like how and whoever is the constable, how they are managing it, you know, probably top to bottom, you know, what's their goal is, how many arrests they have, you know, how many DWI they have, like do they even have a good JP code arrest system right now? So there's so many things, you know, it's a step by step. I'm just gonna talk about the facts, which is I have all the facts ready. It's not the time to talk about it. When the time gonna come, I'm gonna talk about all the facts. Okay, this, you know, why you did this, or why you could have done it better, why we lost that many police officers, why we lost that many contracts, what's going on. So that's when the time gonna come, I'm gonna discuss about that.
Do you have any idea what the morale is of the police force?
Of course.
So let's hear, what is it?
Okay, so morale is, tell me which context you want to hear.
I mean, are they waking up in the morning ready to go out, excited to go out and do their job?
Okay, so police officer, the sad part is they don't get paid what they're supposed to get paid. That's the worst part, first thing. And you talk to police officer, that integrity matters. Integrity matters. Any police officer, they're making like 55, 60,000 yearly. After tax and everything is $4,000 they are taking home. Out of $4,000, they have wife and kids, house mortgage payment. So they're already in stress. Now, but they go out there. Like just an example, a couple of years ago, we received a call. There was a shooting place in some big grocery store. And me and my sergeant, you know, we were running inside. And I still remember like 100 of people coming outside from the store. And we were going inside. So at my gun drone. And everything got good. You know, we arrested the guy. Then I asked myself, I mean, what am I doing? There are hundreds of people that are coming outside, and I'm going inside with my gun. It could anything happen. I have family, I have kids, I have wife, I have parents. So what's gonna happen? What could have happened to me? Then I realized from inside that's what I sign up for. So any police officer, that's what they sign up for. You know what? They will go take it. Like just an example, I don't care who you are, James Bond 007. Any trouble happen, you call 911 and police shows up. It doesn't matter what party, Democrat or Republican. They are the police officer, right? They don't get paid good. So first, they already have an issue. Second, whenever they work, I'm not talking about just prison 3 office. I'm talking about different departments. A lot of departments doesn't take care of their police officer with respect, and they lose the morals. And when they lose the morals, of course, the crimes goes up because they're like, I don't care. There's a lot of old police officers. They have been forced for like 25, 30 years. They just don't care. They were like, you know what? I've been there, done that. Everything the system is like that. It's never going to be changed. Why would I be changed? I'm just going to be like that. So they don't have morals, a lot, majority, because of the bad management.
Well, I think that crime is up nationally, and these guys are already underpaid. And then, we put them in this taxing situation where, where they have to operate, with all these extra elements, being put on them, at that low pay. It just sounds like it's a very difficult position for these officers to be in.
The sheriff office and constable office, that's the worst part is every 4 years there's an election, right? Whoever new sheriff comes, whoever new constable comes, they don't work with the old police officer. So now they have to go somewhere else. Then another 4 years. So it's been happening, and they, like I know one deputy, he was working in 2012 with Chris Diaz in the Harris County Constable office. 2020, Jerry Garcia comes. He doesn't want to work there. He left, went to prison 7. Now Jerry Garcia has a new election going on. Now he wants to come back. So the thing is, they cannot work like one department when it comes to Harris County. I mean, it's come to constable or sheriff office. So the morals values are down because of a lot of things, national crime thingy or maybe taxing or their salaries or bad management. There's a lot of things together.
Yeah, I mean, they're affected by everything. One of the regular talking points that we make on this show is how inflation's hurting everyone. When you're at that inflation is rising at insane amounts. And when you're an officer on these fixed incomes, it just seems like the whole world is sort of coming undone. They have more crime, their dollar gets them less, and they're already low pay. I'm going to bring G2 in on this. G2, are you there?
Yes.
Hey, good to hear from you. So you've heard the conversation. Do you have an opinion on crime nationally? What do you think? Chime in on your thoughts on what Ali's saying here. What do you think are the underlying currents that are sort of affecting officer morale, affecting the daily lives of our police forces?
Well, it's an interesting conversation. One of the things that is crystal clear as you look at police departments and sheriff's departments and constables around the country even, is that the nature of the leadership in those offices is critically important. I'm very familiar with one sheriff's department that has been completely broken down. Now, that's not in Texas. It's in another state. But that sheriff's department has had to go out and subcontract to get people to protect the court, which is a core function of that sheriff's department. What I'm seeing is that when you bring people in who have what are presumed to be good qualifications, maybe they have a background in law, they have a background in policing, but they don't have the management skills to actually lead a department, these departments are ineffective. And the truth is we can't afford as citizens to have any law enforcement agency be independent. It is interesting that in Texas you've got these constables who are, I'm not sure this is correct, Ali, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but it's as if they're almost a parallel to the sheriff's department. You're fortunate to have 2 elected, independent law enforcement agencies that can operate in Texas. And, of course, we all know Texas is under assault right now.
That's
Texas
correct.
And the nation. So that's the first thing. So, if you've been managing businesses and you've got this relatively unique combination of business and law enforcement experience, I understand why you would be a good fit for this constable position. I mean, that makes sense to me inherently because, again, it's just not that common that people who only know work in government or only law enforcement or only academia, that they're really good as leaders and managers of organizations. That's why we have such underperformance in government.
Yes, sir.
So I like that element. That's a great element of that you bring to this. So that's interesting to me. The fact that you are willing to do this while you have established successful businesses, and you really could just stay involved with your companies and, take more vacations. That's an interesting thing as well, because this is not a position to be taken lightly. When you get involved in law enforcement today, not maybe 30 years ago, well, certainly in the 70s and now today, it's a serious role. This is not for the faint of heart. So, I applaud you for your willingness to take this on when you could just easily go off and lead a life of luxury.
That's correct, sir. I really appreciate those words because, I'm a current police officer. I've been a cop for like 5 years, almost 4 to 5 years. And I started my campaign, running for the Fort Bend County Constable office, I believe in December 2022, I believe, and the first announcement was January 28th, 2023. Now we are sitting on March 4th. It's almost like 14 to 15 months. And 14 to 15 months, it's hundreds of events, thousands of voter stock, almost like 8,000 houses, block walk. We did a lot of things, right? And I realized, I could have, if I was not going to run for the office, could have give this time to myself or my family, right? But it's something tells me from inside, I want to do something for this community. I want to do something for the county, and it's driving me. And hope for the best. One day we will win, and we're gonna take care of the issue what's going on. You gotta start it from the small. You cannot fix everything in one day. You gotta start it from somewhere. And when you said, like just an example, in Fort Bend County, we have 1 sheriff and 4 constables, so we have 5 elected officials who are going to take care of 16 to 17 cities and 1.2 million citizens there, who lives there, who depends on you, right? And the sad part is right now in Fort Bend County specifically, of course, I'm not going to point finger to any elected official, but like out of 1 sheriff is Democrat, 2 are constable from Republican Party, and 2 are from Democrat, right? So now we have 5 people. Now out of those 5 people, the thing is, first of all, 3 Democrats and 2 Republicans. So that's the biggest issue. Okay, 3 versus 2. That's one thing. Second thing, then we have commissioner and then county judge, and then they all working together and cut the budget and everything. Because of these 5 elected officials and then another, commissioner and county judge and everything, why a community will survive or why community will get the hit? Because they are not together. Why community cares, about Democrat and Republican? When you call the police, anything happening, why that person has to be a Democrat office or a Republican office, If crime's happening, police needs to show up. That's it. That's the bottom of the line, right? So they are not working together because of some attitude, because of the management issue. There's so many things going on. So I'm going to start it from the small. Yeah, I cannot fix everything in one night, but I'm going to do from the small, and we'll go bigger and bigger with the community support.
Yeah, that's it, and Chris, your opening statement contained a lot of reasons that this becomes really important. This Democrat move to defund police, we're now in, I suppose, our 6th year of that. And what we've seen everywhere that they've done this is that the police department becomes far less effective. They put leaders in place who diminish the abilities, the power, the effectiveness of the police department, sometimes even the professionalism. They become less restrained by the Constitution in some cases. So you have a degradation of the policing side. And at the same time, we all know what's happening at the border. It was interesting that on February 14th, Bloomberg reported that Venezuela's murder rate is going down. Now, do you think that's because they've had some cultural change or they've had some change in the approach of law enforcement? No, it's not. It's because they are exporting their murderers to the United States. It's ludicrous to even think of this. But at the same time, their murder rate is going down in Venezuela. in both New York and Chicago, we are seeing the establishment of Venezuelan gangs that have never before been a real factor in the United States. And of them, the National Guard, it was reported on February 18th, the National Guard in New York is checking any recent arrivals from Venezuela to see if they have specific gang tattoos. Now, that's one small picture of what's happening here, where we've got people coming across the border who have ill intent. They are not looking to join the society and be productive members of it. They're looking to establish a criminal operation. And to be clear, everyone knows that they are bringing fentanyl across the border, that they're bringing children across the border, of course, workers across the border. And we know as well that the cartels have, from the Gulf to the Great Lakes, coast to coast, they have nationwide distribution down to the retail level for all of those drugs. That means they are really present in our local market. When you've got the kind of law enforcement situation you've got in Fort Bend County, where you're fortunate to have multiple elected officials who are beholden only to the voters. They're not really, they aren't controlled by some county official or they're beholden to the voters. That's a tremendous situation, because I'm going to tell you, what we need in law enforcement, not just the management piece we talked about, but we need people who are going to be able to resist the siren song of corruption, because you know these cartels come in, they know how to play it. And we need people who are going to be able to organize and back up their constables and their sheriff's deputies in a way that allows them to operate in a world where these gangs are becoming more popular. Anyone who's lived in, say, Mexico or Colombia or Venezuela, they know how this works. The gangs that we are going to be facing in the next 4 or 5 years, and really are facing now. We all know the name Lincoln.
We are already facing
in
Fort Bend County, if you just go and check exactly what's going on, because I'm involved as a police officer. I see a lot of things individual don't see it, because the gang thing, you see cars out there, you can see like it belongs to gang people. I mean, I'm not being like profiling anyone, but I'm a police officer. I can see what's going on. I have never seen it back in 4 or 5 years ago in Highway 6, you will see like 6 or 7 people outside there with like talking about some crime, and after 30 minutes, you see some stores getting robbed, So things are getting worse, and trust me, I always tell my community, I'm telling all the big leaders and the community leaders, church, mosque people, if we don't get together today, if we don't shake hand and control it today, tomorrow it will be worse. And tomorrow, me and you, whoever lives in Fort Bend County, will say, can we leave to Woodland? Can we go to somewhere else? Can we go to Austin? And can we go? And we just gonna run, because why are we always gonna run? Because we are not here to taking care of our community. Our community gotta be together. And if I can tell you right now on record, if we don't stop right now, if 2024, if we don't take a proper action, 2025 will be the worst year for the Fort Bend County.
That is right.
I promise to you.
I think you're right. And where are we going to run? You look at what's happening in Austin. It is now, it's gone from a really extraordinarily prosperous tech center that attracted a lot of Californians. Now they have the homeless problem. This gang prevalence is happening all across the country. This nation is transforming very quickly. And to your point, if we don't act now, we're going to lose it, and there'll be nowhere to go. You can't leave and go to Chicago. It's already
It's a disaster there already.
Yeah, the gangs are actually prominent everywhere. In Virginia, MS-13 was trafficking children out of a middle school as long ago as 2011 and 12.
Wow.
Trafficking children out of a middle school. We have no more minutes to wait, no more years to stand by.
So
this activity is moving quickly.
I think that I opened this show with the premise that we're essentially sandwiching our emergency services into this tinderbox situation. They're getting walked on first by the globalist agenda. Again, I assert that it's the globalist agenda largely being carried out by the American Democrat Party, but it was also in Harris County, in Houston. The Houston Fire Department also had an issue where they went to loggerheads with Mayor Sylvester Turner, where he wanted to start jury rigging their pay and going to work on hurting their income while we're in the middle of this. And so it just seems like in every way, shape, or form that our emergency services of all type they're the walking mats of this. They're the first to feel the impacts of this globalist agenda. Ali, are we not losing officers? Are we having an exodus of officers out of Fort Bend County?
We are losing right and left. Just an example, if you count Fort Bend County Sheriff, constables, I would say we are missing almost 300 deputies right now. Just small, that's a small number, 300 deputies. And why they don't want to work? Again, I'm going to come up with the sheriff, constable, it's a management position. Elected constable, elected sheriff, they don't want to work with someone like they don't know how to manage. In sheriff office, we are missing, if I'm not wrong, 180 deputies. They just don't want to work because, first, the biggest issue, right now, elected officials, what's their position? So what's their job is, right? They got to manage the department. They don't have to go in the nighttime, 3:30 in the morning and go arrest people. Their thing is managing the budget, managing the officers, have good morals, good integrity and be a good leader. Because if you are a good leader, then your follower will follow you, right? Now, if you are not a good leader, anybody who's an elected officer, if you're not a good leader, you cannot make the good examples, and then your deputies or your sergeants or your chief or your captain would not respect you. So if anybody, in Fort Bend County, the issue is we don't have the good management on the top. So whoever wants to apply, they're like, man, I don't want to work under this management. I don't want to work under this sheriff. I don't want to work under this constable. I don't want to do this, all these things. So when they will come when they don't have any job in Harris County or Galveston County, where they don't have zero option, they have no option left, then they're going to go to Fort Bend County.
So I've heard rumblings that there's an affirmative action element in our police forces locally. And of course, my argument against it is that the only criteria by which officers should be judged, the only one is the quality of their character and their job performance, their skills, their resume, nothing more. None of these other details that are less significant when you're interviewing a candidate. Do you know anything about that? Because again, if I'm going in that police force and they're going to judge me on my skin color or whatever, rather than how I do my job, I will be less inclined to do my job to the best of my ability because I won't be rewarded with a promotion or whatever. Is this happening in Fort Bend County?
I mean, it's just not one thing. It happens a lot of things. Okay, so Fort Bend County is a very diverse county in America. We have South Asian, we have white, Hispanic, African American. We have almost 173 countries people live in Fort Bend County, and some is called majority, some is called South Asian is right now, if I'm not wrong, 30% right now. Indian, Pakistani, Bangladesh, So there's a lot of things together, diversity. I would not say there's no racism. I will not encounter with any racist people there. I haven't did it yet. But there are a lot of things going on, It's just an example, the sad part about the politics right now. Anyone, even Mickey Mouse can put their name in ballot right now. Did you know that? Before on primary election, anybody can, Tom and Jerry, Mickey Mouse, they're just going to put their name and they're just going to sit there and they'll see if they're going to win or lose, right? So it's a different thing now. Right now, if you see how many people live in Fort Bend County, 1.2 million. Out of those, we have 16 South Asian people running for the office. And out of 16, I guarantee you this, 12 don't know why they're running. 12 they don't know why they're running. And if you ask them, what's their particular office, what you're running for the job is, you know what they say? Oh, we don't know. We just put our name. And out of 12, it's 11 are Democrats. So I was like, where are we going? What's exactly going on? The people gonna take the office who has no idea what they're doing. Just an example. My opponent is it's not even a police officer who's running against me. So I asked him, sir, what's your plan? He goes, I just put my name. I was like, okay. So people don't know what exactly they're trying to do, and that hurting me. And eventually, out of those, one or two can get elected because they just put their name. And when they get elected, they don't know what's going on. Then we got to deal with them for like next 4 years again. So it's our thing, Our community needs to come together. They need to review their resume, what exactly they did and what exactly can do, their agenda, their policy, and everything, because the vote is very important. Yesterday, I was on other radio and I said one thing: if somebody asks you, "Give me $100," you're not gonna give it to them if you don't know them. Then how can you give them a vote, which is more expensive than $100? How can you give a vote to somebody when you don't even know them? So do your research and make sure tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow is the 5th March, Super Tuesday, Election Day. And tomorrow, out of all those people which just put their name for no reason, they will be out, hopefully, because God will take care. And make sure you go out for the vote and make sure every single vote counts, and do your due diligence before you do the vote.
I think that there's a lot of political opportunists, and so they look at an open vacancy in a government job, and it's sort of like filling out a resume. They just go for it. Whereas yourself, you have a qualified background in policing, in management, and so I understand what you're saying is that if you were running for this, that, and the other, you're not doing that. You know policing, you're running for policing, and so you're matching up with it quite well.
You have to have just an example, you cannot be RJ, or I cannot do your show because I don't know how to be a RJ, right? So you got to be qualified to do the job, right? I'm a police officer. I have nothing to do with being a congressman. I have nothing to do with for the county commissioner. I mean, my job is I'm a police officer. I want to run for the office, and which is including all the policing, community security, So you got to see, like political opportunities, you will see out of 10, 9, you will see it. They're like, okay, we're just going to put our name. If we win, we'll have the job. I mean, I'll say, I don't need a job. I mean, I'm good at what I am, but while I'm doing it, I mean, just an example, the last thing, before I finish the conversation, I'm the only candidate in Fort Bend County right now who did not ask for the fundraising, did not do any fundraising. I put my own money. I did not go and ask the community, hey, give me the money so I can make my sign. Give me the money so I can print my flyers. Give me the money. I'm not asking no money from the community. I'm putting my own money. What I'm asking, give me the vote so I can take care of our future. And let's see what's going to happen tomorrow.
Well, I want to ask G2. G2, do you see affirmative action or these leftist sort of ideologies hitting our police forces and affecting the ranks in one way or another?
Well, what's happening in some of these police departments across the country is, again, people who are being appointed to lead as police chiefs or sheriffs or in whatever role, they're being elected or appointed to lead, and they're bringing with it not a focus on executing law enforcement responsibilities in an efficient and safe and legal way. They have a political agenda, and whether it be whatever element of this Democrat platform of sort of bizarre agendas, they're bringing that to these departments. So they're pushing the DEI initiatives, they're pushing these other initiatives. All of that takes the law enforcement officers' focus off of enforcing crime or enforcing the law, stopping crime, and enforcing the law efficiently, safely, and legally. So, yeah, that is a problem. And to bring to this then the other perspective that says, listen, we've got one mission. We're here to protect the citizenry. You've mentioned several times, Ali, that when someone calls, they don't know who's answering the phone. They don't know the political affiliation of that person. They don't care. They need help, and they need it quickly. That's a critical perspective on this. And so bringing a performance-driven accountability and a willingness to defend the constables, because they're under a lot of pressure, these sheriffs and constables and police officers, under tremendous pressure, because sometimes their own leadership will attack them for enforcing the law. So it's important to get the right people in those positions So this has been a fascinating conversation. It's been really helpful to hear your point of view and why you're interested in this and what you bring to it. So
I think the other
I'll
thing
be
that's
watching carefully to see what happens tomorrow.
I think the other thing that's very unique about this position, county constable sheriff, is just like the county sheriff, it is a directly elected police official, whereas city police chiefs are appointed by the mayor. And as such, the constable has more of an intimate connection with the community. He directly reports to the community, and it makes him more, in my opinion, it grounds him more to the job than somebody who's an appointee, a political appointee. And I would like to think that it eradicates the political element out of that policing effort. So, Ali, what do you think? Do you find that the county constable position is, because you're having to go out there and shake the hands of the people, that it's a position that when this term's up, you're gonna have to shake hands again, and people are gonna know. It makes you more accountable.
County constable or county sheriff, they work for the community. It's very simple. Community, the Fort Bend County residents, the tax-paying people, constable or sheriff or deputy constable, anybody, they work for them, right? So just an example, if I become a constable, I work for the Fort Bend County residents. They are my bosses, right? And I got to report to my boss. If I'm not doing a good job, my boss will gonna kick me out, right? The same thing happening right here in Fort Bend County right now. They have the employees, a constable, a sheriff. If they are not doing a good job, and the bosses will kick them out, and that's what's happening right now. So it's very simple. A constable works for the community, a sheriff works for the community, and every single thing we do in the community in Fort Bend County, anybody, whoever is elected, they need to give answers to their bosses, right? And bosses are not happy right now. So we got to make them happy. And how you going to make them happy? When they pay you, you do the job. What's the job requirement is? Your job is, your bosses are telling you to fix the community, fix the crime. This is the job. Just do it, right?
I want to ask you, you said earlier that you've had a considerable impact on the Pakistani American community, as I understand it, where this group was traditionally a Democrat blue group. And it's going through a red pill process, and you're seeing that you're having an impact on it. Can you elaborate on that?
Definitely. So somehow Pakistani people, most likely, they are born Democrat. I was like, how born Democrat, right? They will never gonna be asking, hey, we gotta choose Republican ballot. So I met like thousands of people. I did like in last 14 months, 100 of events, right? I show them what is the difference between Democrat and Republican. With the hard work, I'm not the only one who did the hard work in Fort Bend County. We have our Mike Khan. He's running for the commissioner office. We have a sheriff candidate who's half Pakistani, and we have half Pakistani and some half Middle East. We have one of the candidate present for. We have some running from the House district. So we have like 5, 6, 7 people on the diverse community, who's fighting. So with all the hard works, with all the day and night struggle to talk to the voters and everything, finally today we converted 30 to 31% Pakistani people to Republican now. And it's just amazing, because all this Pakistani power, all the Indian people, all the majority, like Desi people, they were voting for Democrat. And this is the first time in history our Pakistani people are converting to Republican, because they are just sick, and they're like, we don't want to deal with this government anymore. We don't want to deal with this sheriff anymore. We don't want to deal with this Democrat things going on in Fort Bend County. So they are converting, and trust me, 30 to 31% is not a joke.
Well, it's very interesting. I think that the entire country is going through a red pill process where people of all different shades, all different types of people, but as we are essentially under this oppression of the globalist agenda, I think that everyone is finding the American spirit in them, And we see this, the phoenix rises from the ashes, and we see this sort of people challenging their traditional ideologies and their traditional ways and considering alternatives. And there you are playing a pivotal role in that process to sort of lend a hand from the American Republican Party. And I think that sort of activism is the only thing that's going to save this country. So again, I want to thank everybody. It's been a great show. This is the Chris Heasley Show. I want to say it again. I want to say thank you to Alicia, Connie. I want to say thank you to G2. I want to thank both these men because they're doing something to take back their country. All right, guys, talk to you very soon.